Hi, everyone. It's A Ticket to Christ. Thank you for tuning back in. We're focused on the righteousness of justice, the spiritual righteousness, the importance of it. But I think it's also important to note that righteous justice comes with good judgment. It comes with wisdom. It walks with mercy and truth, right? And I think a good person, when you're thinking of justice, you think of someone in authority. I thought of Solomon. And I thought of this would be a good one to study through to see in terms of justice, how to pray, the attitude of the heart for coming from somebody who would be in the position of justice, how they would think, right? That it would be a very selfless way of thinking. It would be thinking for the greater good, for those involved. So in 1 Kings chapter 3, we'll pick up in verse 3, it says, "And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David his father. Only he sacrificed and burnt incense in high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer upon that altar. In Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, 'Ask what I shall give thee.' And Solomon said, 'Thou hast showed unto thy servant David my father great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. And now, O Lord my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father. And I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people which thou hast chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people?' And the speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. And God said unto him, Because thou hast asked this thing, and not asked for thyself long life, neither has asked riches for thyself, nor has asked the life of thine enemies, but has asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and an understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise unto thee. And I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto thee all thy days. And if thou wilt walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments, as thy father David did walk, then I will lengthen thy days.' And Solomon awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of God, of the Lord, and offered up burnt offerings and offered peace offerings and made a feast to all his servants. Then came there 2 women that were harlots unto the king, and stood before him. The one woman said, O my Lord, I and this woman dwell in one house, and I was delivered of a child with her in the house. And it came to pass the 3rd day after that I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also. And we were together. There was no stranger in the house, save we 2 in the house. And this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it. And she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me, while thine handmaid slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. And when I arose in the morning to give my child suck, behold, it was dead. But when I had considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son which I did bear. And the other woman said, Nay, but the living is my son, and the dead is thy son. And this said, No, but the dead is thy son, the living is my son. Thus they spake before the king. Then said the king, The one saith, This is my son that liveth, and thy son is the dead. And the other saith, Nay, but thy son is the dead, and my son is the living. But the king said, Bring me a sword. And they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, Divide the living child in two, and give half to the one and half to the other. Then spake the woman whose living child was unto the king, Then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearned upon her son. And she said, O my Lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. But the other said, Let it be neither mine nor thine, but divide it. Then the king answered and said, Give her the living child, and in no wise slay it, for she is the mother thereof. And all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged, and they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of God was in him to do judgment. Okay, so what is jumping out at you about this in terms of justice? For me, what I'm getting is justice takes good judgment. You have to have good judgment to be just. And I think, and the wisdom, right? And you see here all of this in Solomon's interactions with these two women. But let's go back to verse 3. It says, And Solomon loved the Lord, right? And then verse 7. When he prayed, he says, And now, O Lord my God. So we see here that he had the same heart as David had for God. And that's a big contrast to Saul's heart, because Saul was always telling Samuel, the Lord your God. But here Solomon is saying, O Lord my God. So he is walking with the Lord. And God appeared to him in a dream. The Lord appeared to him in a dream. And I told him to ask whatever you want. What do you want me to do for you? Right? And he could have asked for anything, but he asked for an understanding heart to judge the people of God, to discern between good and bad. Right? And you see that God was pleased with him, verse 10, because he wasn't asking for personal things that would benefit himself. He was asking for the qualities and the characteristics that would enable him to rule the people with wisdom and with equity, right? And as a result of that, notice the Lord said, God said to him, verse 11, Because you have not asked for long life, you haven't asked for riches, and you haven't asked for the life of your enemies, but you asked for understanding to discern judgment, right? I'm going to give you not only the wisdom and the understanding heart, like nobody else ever had, but you're going to also have riches. You're going to also have honor. And there's not going to be anybody like you. And if you continue to walk in my ways, I'm going to lengthen your days. So you're going to have long life, right? So not only did he get what he asked for, but because he asked for the right thing, he asked in a way that was pleasing to God, that reflected God's own heart. That God blessed him tremendously. And then we see immediately, even though all of this happened in a dream, we know it was real, because immediately we see him operating, even as that young child, he said that he is operating with a level of wisdom that's way beyond his years, and bringing about justice for this woman whose child had died. You know, the situation being two women, both had children. One of them rolled on their child, probably was, just sleeping very deeply. The child died, so she crushed her child. Verse 19 says, And this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it. So she accidentally rolled on her child and killed her own child. And then, because she didn't have any character, stole this other woman's child and swapped the babies. So gave her dead child to this woman and kept the woman's child, and had the nerve to come before the king. Talking about injustice, right? Had the nerve to come to try to take this woman to court to get what was not hers. And Solomon used a lot of wisdom here to bring about the justice of the other woman whose son it really was. He knew, look, the person whose mother this is going to feel for her son. And so he said, let me cut the child in two. You could take half. But the one whose mother it really was, verse 26, it says that felt for her son and said, no, give it to her. She would prefer her son live and then be slaughtered. But the other woman, it wasn't her child. And she didn't, she had a callous heart. And so we see the importance of having good judgment, and wisdom, and also discernment, just the right level of it, what it can do, not only in the life of people involved directly, like these two women, but also in the lives of the greater society as well. And Solomon was an incredible king. Of course, he wrote the book of Proverbs, right? And then we have Song of Solomon. But the Bible talks about that he reigned under him, actually, Genesis 15 fulfilled, right? You see it in 1 Kings 4, chapters 20 to 21. You see the fulfillment of that promise to Abraham there. So this is an incredible thing to study through in terms of wisdom, and just thinking about, in terms of justice, and just thinking about the importance of the qualities that need to be paired with justice so that it's righteous justice, so it's spiritual, right? It's not just justice, but justice tempered with wisdom, tempered with good judgment, tempered with mercy as well. Seasoning justice with mercy will bring about a greater good, right? So, and that's the heart that we see here with Solomon. It's God's heart toward us and toward people that we see in different examples in the scriptures. This is it for me, beloved. We'll pick it up again tomorrow. Have a great day.